Letitia's Third Eye POV. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Welcome to the channel. And thank you for watching.
You know that no trespassing signs like these are directly linked to slavery in the US? This professor spent over a decade uncovering the awful truth behind these signs. Apparently, it goes back to the 1600s and the arrival of British colonizers in America.
England has very strict trespass laws. The moment you cross into someone else's land, it's a serious crime. If you poach on someone else's land, one of the penalties was transportation to the American colonies. Well, once the settlers got to North America, all of English law gets thrown out and they develop a distinctly new set of laws.
And one of the key elements is this: trespassing is not a crime.
Under slavery, on most plantations, a large share of the food that enslaved people had eaten was stuff they produced themselves, because the white landowners would provide them with cornmeal and with fatback, which is like bacon but less meat and more fat. No one could live just on that. And so everything else, all the vegetables, all the eggs, all the meat except for fatback, all of that was either fished, hunted, grown, or foraged.
But all of that changed after the Civil War in 1865, when slavery was abolished.
By the end of the Civil War, all formerly enslaved people are now free. And then there's new elections, but at that point, only white people can vote. And so these all-white electorates vote for all-white legislatures. And some of the first laws they make are laws criminalizing trespass. And it happens across the South, making it more difficult to feed yourself by limiting hunting, by limiting fishing, by prohibiting foraging. After slavery, you could pretty much feed yourself without working for your former slave owner. And so there's this asymmetry in which these white landowners desperately need black workers. But black people don't need these white landowners, because they can feed themselves. Part of the reason I know they were doing this against black people is they said, we are doing this specifically to make them work for us. It will confine them more.
Essentially, these white landowners were trying to continue as many of the conditions of slavery as possible after it actually ended. But their attempts went even further than no trespassing laws.
Mississippi and South Carolina tried to institute laws, for example, called the Black Codes, where if a black person worked for a white person, they were required to call them master, and they would need written permission to leave their workplace. Not having a job was a crime, whether you needed a job or not.
And then there were the fines that came with these crimes. Fines so high that few people could actually afford them. So to pay them off, black Americans were basically pushed into forced labor.
They could sell you to a white employer for the number of months it would take for you to repay the fine. So you would have an auction on the courthouse steps that was indistinguishable from an auction of a slave that had happened 5 or 10 years before. If you see a no trespassing sign, if you're wondering why it's a crime to go on someone's land, a big part of why is an effort by white landowners to disadvantage black workers right after the Civil War.
Y'all sub up to Letitia too, cause she be dropping that real shit.
Yeah, shout out to Leticia.
Leticia Third Eye POV. Bless up. I'm talking about you putting in the work.
Letitia's third eye point of view.
Shout out Leticia.
Oh yeah, especially my sister Leticia, boy. She's already here.
Letitia's be getting them.
Yeah, Leticia Page is hot. Leticia Page is lit.
Go sub up to Letitia, so show the sister some support.
Yo, definitely sub up to Leticia Third Eye POV. Facts. Make sure y'all sub up.